But then the audition for Tiny Pretty Things came along, and I like pounded the pavement, taking ballet classes every day for like a week leading up to that. Self-tape, 10 pages of acting, a full ballet bar and center, and you had to improvise in multiple styles. Sent off these self-tapes. A week later, did an in-person callback where like the showrunner and 2 producers and the director of the pilot flew up from LA. I was in there for like 45 minutes talking with them, did the scenes a bunch of times. It was like tested really well under pressure, and then booked it a week later and was like, it felt like a huge jump on the ladder of my career. But I think all that work of the 5 years post-Juilliard of putting myself together and gathering from little experiences here and there all kind of then came together for Tiny Pretty Things.
Yeah, big time. Hey there, welcome back to the DNA podcast. My name is Douglas Nyback. I am the host of this whole thing, and it's great. And I really enjoy this podcast, and I'm super psyched that you're here to join us today with our special guest, Brennan Clost. He's a veteran actor of The Next Step, Tiny Pretty Things. His newest movie is out called Loath Thy Neighbor. Also, Fear Street Prom Queens. This dude is all over the place, doing all sorts of stuff. He's an actor, dancer, producer. He wants to get into show running, and he's working to create his own projects. He's a Juilliard-trained dancer who we're going to get into it on the pod, but like whom, while he was going to Juilliard for ballet and contemporary ballet, was shooting The Next Step on his summer vacations, like for years. I've chatted with a bunch of the folks from The Next Step on this pod before. Folks like Jordan Clark, Alexandra Chaves, who was the first guest on the pod, Trevor Torchman. Lovely, lovely, lovely humans all. To get a chance to chat with Brennan, even though I'd never actually met him, was such a delight, because all these folks whom I respect so much respect him so much. He's like a light on this planet, and I loved this chat. It lit me up to no end. Listen, I think I'm a pretty good podcast host. In this one, I had like a flow state with him because it was just so symbiotic, and he was giving so much, so willing to connect to me, who was a stranger to him. Anyway, it was a delight, and he's a delight. I'm afraid that I said Brendan, and listen, Brendan, if you're listening to this and I said Brendan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's on me, and I appreciate you very much. Thanks for being here, all of y'all. Also, please like and subscribe if you're here on YouTube. Comment, share. These things are super important for the growing podcast. I know it's lame. Everybody says it, but I have to. And if you're here on Spotify or Apple, please, for the love of all the algorithm deities, give us a 5-star rating and follow if you can. Let's get into the podcast. I appreciate y'all. So I just want to say briefly, like, thanks so much for being here and for taking the time.
Of course. Yeah. No, thank you for having me.
My genuine pleasure. Yeah, and I know, like, obviously you know Bree and so many of the folks that I work with cross-pollinate with you. But this is my first time getting to meet you.
I know. Well, it feels like I've met you already because, like you said, it's like we're in the same ecosystems, and for whatever reason we haven't met. But
yeah, and everybody that I know that's talked about you just has nothing but the kindest things to say. There's like this little moment of fear where you're like, what are they going to say?
No. I really wanted to take in that compliment. That's really kind.
That's nice. Yeah, that's great. And I, in doing a bit of research about you, I'm like, so much of this podcast have been people that I know or have worked with for long periods of time, and now more and more we're getting folks coming on whom I don't know, and so it was really fun getting to do a bit of a deep dive into like your life and your experience, and I'd love to this maybe seem like a little bit of a weird place to start.
I'm excited.
But, okay. You're so deeply creative in so many facets. And obviously like an elite performer, and have been for a really long time, like starting in dance and then moving into performance and I guess like and now producing as well. I guess my question though, I was just like, what is like so interesting about this guy is like, tell me about the threads of creativity that are like lighting you up right now. Like what's because you've been doing it for so long, you can't, like, I'm sure there's other things and
it's funny that you say like threads of creativity. You said as we were setting up to have something about like following the thread, and that is like a mantra that I live by, of just like follow the thread. And you never really know where it's going to go, or if it's going to be dance or acting or choreography or producing. And there's, like any creative person, there's times where I don't have a thread that I can follow, and you start getting like panicked. And so staying calm in those moments and just waiting for like that glimmer of something, like a thread or a ping from the universe, whatever you call it, like to notice that and then follow the thread. So it's always something different. And with every project too, or if it's only looking at acting roles, it's always something different as you're like, I'm sure you know this, like your way into the character is never the same exact process every time. It's always like a different thread that you can follow.
Yeah.
I don't remember what your question was, but
well, yeah, just kind of like what's lighting you up right now. So
now, yeah.
Like I think that, is there anything that like you're super psyched about? Because if my research has served me correctly, like you've optioned a book that you're wanting to produce, and you were a producer on Loath Thy Neighbor.
Yes, yeah.
Loath Your Neighbor,
Loath Thy Neighbor.
Loath Thy Neighbor, yeah. So I'm curious, like creating content, like it's a big step.
Yeah.
Like I've been an actor and a writer for a long time, and producing, that's a whole different hat.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, right now the thread of inspiration is directing or show running. Perhaps it's more of a series than it is a movie.
Cool.
But I think in life, I'm a bit of a control freak. And so the further I've gone in the entertainment industry, the more I want to just control or like have my hands in as many pots as I can creatively also. And I think it was sort of like with dance, I was like a focused dancer for a decade. It was actually like 10 years before then, from starting dance to then the next step introduced me to acting. And then from the next step to then like 27, I was like, I would say moving away from only thinking of myself as a dancer, and was like really, dance then was sort of like a thing I did, but acting was like the thread that I was following.
Right.
And now I do feel like it's producing or the creation of a story, and like directing or writing as well.
Right.
So that was the like impetus to then like option this book, figure out too like within myself, what story do I want to bring into the world that feels like important. That just keeps being like the call that keeps like coming into mind of like, what is that? How do I figure out what that nugget is to then follow that as the like writer, director, showrunner if it's a series. Yeah.
And are there types of stories right now that are lighting you up that you're wanting to bring into the world? With, obviously it's possible that you could be, developing something that's under NDAs and like you don't, you may not be able to.
No, it's not in that official capacity yet. No, but it just like always comes back to dance. And and my experience as someone who grew up sort of feeling like an outsider in the world, I think those are two things that were really have been important to my own like evolution as a person, and I think are relatable. Like the ways that we see the world and feel like we don't fit into it is something that I think a lot of people relate to, and was really my experience growing up being like a bullied young male dancer. So it always kind of like comes back to that. So I'm just figuring out how to take that nugget of an idea and what's the best way to fuse that into a story that people will want to watch, what's enjoyable. Like it doesn't need to be like bullied little kid sad, like I don't want the story to be that. I want it to, I don't know,
adolescence just cleaned up.
I know, right? Last night, yeah. So maybe, yeah, I don't know. There's always humor, there's always comedy, and so I'm like, is this a like horror comedy? I'm really into that genre right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that story really fits into like a horror comedy, but
horror comedy is a nice little catch-all. Because it's like horror and the sci-fi genre both allow to me, they're like the ones where it's the most spoonful of sugar, helps that like tiny bit of medicine go down, where it's just like you can be thoroughly entertained by something and then also walk away being like, I might have learned something about myself and others today.
Yeah, but you're watching a story about like aliens or like the high fae invading a planet or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. The I mean, not cool that you were bullied as a child. Sorry about that. But I did musical theater, and I'm from like a small ass town in Alberta, and it was also not the most pleasant at times.
Maybe,
yeah, similar but different, but also to a degree made me who I am. Which has been like on one hand great and also lucrative for my therapist. So
exactly. Lots to work through. Lots to mine for acting now in performances.
And I'm super curious because you were like, all right, so I did 10 years dedicated dancing, and then the next step started. And am I crazy, or did like in the middle of the next step did you go to Juilliard?
Yeah, at the same time. It was like really all
the
at
side
the same
project.
Time. Yeah. No, I mean, and when I talk about it now, I talk about like the next step was my summer job through university, which is like, either way you look at it is just crazy that these two huge opportunities happen at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like really gunning for an academic university focus like biochem. I applied everywhere for biochem, got in everywhere I applied to, was like really the math and science kid in high school. And dance and auditioning for dance and then signing with a dance agent all kind of just like happened. I mean, the dance university didn't just happen. It was my mom.
Sure.
My mom like putting together a file folder of research about schools and working with my dance teacher. And I think they really knew that I should pursue it.
Right.
And so I auditioned at schools for dance as well, and then was met with tons of opportunity. I got in everywhere. And then Juilliard was sort of like, oh, wow. I don't think I realized how much I wanted it until I was at the audition and made it through the whole day and was like, oh, wow, I can't turn this down, but how am I going to pay for it? And then I booked the next step and was like, oh, I can pay for it doing this show every summer. And it just like, you couldn't have planned it, how everything lined up. And
Right.
I think it was like what I said of like a ping from the universe being like, not med school, like face this way, kid. And like huge opportunities opened up that I just had to follow.
Right.
Yeah. So it was all at the same time.
Man, what a wild, because I also went to school in New York for musical theater, and like it's funny, like every day I would go to the Lincoln Center Library for the Performing Arts, and I'd just be like there, like outside by the fountains reading, and just like always just like aware of the Juilliard campus, and it's fascinating.
That's so funny.
But it's mythological. Like,
Yeah.
It's like it's like almost beyond legendary. It's like it's not just that these opportunities arrived at your door, it's like the magnitude of that opportunity. Because weren't you like the second male Canadian dancer
Yeah, there were
ever
only,
make it
but not
through?
ever,
Not
not
ever, just
No,
that year.
That year, yeah. So they accept 12 men and 12 women into the program every year, and out of those 12 men in my year, there were 2 of us Canadians. There were plenty of other Canadians out of school before me, and in
The
general.
only one in Canada
Yeah, when you're like,
ever.
are you the only 2 ever to
so
go? I'm like,
incredibly
no.
accomplished.
Yeah, no.
That's super cool. So talk to me about, if you're cool with, so just full transparency, the reason why I'm going to ask this question is because I'm fascinated by the rigors that kind of institutionalized training puts people through, and how it either helped or hindered in other avenues of life. Because I've found the gauntlet that I went through in musical theater school, which is like all these people in black flowy clothing being like, if you act bad, babies will die in Africa, your mother will never see you again. It's just like the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
And then I got into the industry and I was like, might not be that high stakes. But I'm so glad that I've never had anything happen to me, including like huge sets, that was as intense as the average musical theater class at AMDA, right? So I'm curious how was that training process, and two, like, how has that like helped or hindered as you've gone through? Because you're very high achieving. I'm curious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really kind.
You're
I
crushing
think
it, man.
I like build my identity on being high achieving. So that's also something I'm like trying to, I appreciate the compliment. It's like everything in me lights up when I hear that. But I also am like, I need to work through that a little bit more. The program was really intense. And I really had to put myself back together afterwards as a person, but it completely changed me as an artist. I think often a lot about it, like little kernels of things will keep coming up. Even I'm like reading a book at the farm in the summer and like something comes up from Juilliard, and the thought that always recurs for me is that I wish I could take the program now as such a more confident version of myself, and like know my inner self more and have more of that like strong core to then take on that program. Because I was 17 when I started. I was like, I have a late birthday, so I was very young. I finished the school by 21, and I think I haven't started feeling like an adult until I was like 30. Like, I just wish I could take the program now. I think I'd have such a better head on my shoulders to take it and really like take everything in. I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth where I'm like, I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I hadn't done that when I did. But I also wish I could like retake the whole program now, because I don't think I would get my feelings hurt as much, or I wouldn't have been as like battered emerging at the end of it now. But who's to say, like, had I not been gone through it, then would I be able to like toughen it out now? You know?
Yeah, this is the like chicken and egg thing that I think about a fair bit with AMDA as well. Like, it was a really intense. It was a really intense program. I think I've told this story on this podcast, but it's like if you missed more than a day of classes, you started dropping a half-letter grade.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it's like inclusive of a girl whose father died. and had to go like home and bury him and come back. She was given 5 days, you know, and it's just like, and I don't think that that's the way it's run now, because, you know, mental health is something that people consider. But also, I have such a thicker skin because I went to that place. And a similar, I'm like, oh yeah, I could go back and I'd probably like have a totally different experience. And it's like, well, of course I would.
Right,
Partly because
you
I
had
had
it once
that
already.
experience.
Yes.
You know, it's like that taught me how to toughen up and put me into a position where my default was to toughen up or to harden or to compartmentalize in situations where that wasn't healthy. And then similar probably, but different, that concept of that you just talked about, I had to put myself back together. It's like I had to learn to cope with life when it wasn't intense, because it caused me to make everything intense, which made me not the best person.
That's interesting. Yeah. I did the same, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wild, I think of it like the army to a degree. It's like they have to break you down in order to build you into what they're building.
And people said this to me before I went. I was friends with some upperclassmen at the school, and they were like, this is what it is, whatever. And actually, a friend of mine who we grew up dancing kind of at the same time and overlapped at some studios, and he kind of like mentored me as I got into the school, and he said, like, be a sponge. They're gonna break you down and build you back up, but just absorb everything you can. So I like knew that going into it, but I don't think I realized actually what breaking you down to build you back up was gonna feel like, or was gonna really look like. Yeah.
One, how could you? Like, it's funny. I had my voice teacher in Camrose, Alberta. Her name is Charlene Brown. Very, very small town. Very, very good voice teacher. And she said the exact same thing to me, like, be a sponge. Like that exact piece of advice. Yeah, it's fascinating. I think back on that kind of training so often, and I'm always just on one hand incredibly glad that I did it, and on the other hand always I wonder if it was the best way, but it's like it's made my life what my life is.
Totally. Yeah. Well, yeah, and like even when you don't think you're being a sponge, you are still absorbing. Like, as I said, things come up all the time, and I'm sure I wouldn't be. I always say now to myself, oh, I test well. Like in a callback or in an audition setting, like I'm great under pressure, and I'm sure a lot of it is like from competitive dance growing up, and especially Juilliard. Like, I don't know, I'm thinking about the end of every semester in your first 2 years, you would go in one at a time and sit at a big long table, and the entire faculty would sat with you, and they would go one at a time and tell you what they thought about you, what you needed to work on, and like maybe something that you were good at. But it was just like, and sometimes it would turn into like a snowball of one would mention something and then they'd all leap on that and you'd leave. And I had food poisoning the first time I did it.
Oh my God.
So I went in there like already green and sweaty and was like barely hanging on. And then they all commented on how like, maybe your nutrition's not great. And like, you know, you have been looking really skinny. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm food poisoning. I've been throwing up all morning. And like, and also, yeah, what you're saying is true. Like
Yeah.
your mind in a prison and your body in a leotard.
Yeah, that's like that was like every class started with us doing a giant chorus line and stepping forward and doing something and then being broken down. It's wild. That's oh man.
I mean, and also like now I have such a different vocabulary or like taste palette for art, and to be able to articulate thoughts about art or just like opinions in general, and that school like really taught me that.
Yes.
So, you know, there's some like amazing things that also translate from dance just into like being a person or being an artist in the world.
Yes. Well,
so I'm a great artist because of that program, but also like it took years to put myself back together after.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I totally get it. And you said something too. It's like your I'm paraphrasing you from a moment ago, but like your ability to function under high pressure situations. Test well is what you said. It's funny. I find the dancers that I work with and the folks who come from athletics, it's like I have a dancer who's brand new to film and TV, just got an agent, and happened to be like a really, really, really great fit for this new Amazon series. And so she goes in and she's like testing for like this huge series. Like I have like very, very accomplished actors who had auditioned for it and didn't get anywhere near, and she was just like weirdly able to go in and just perform, even though it's theoretically an opportunity that might be above her pay grade at this juncture. And she's just like, because she's been a high level dancer her whole life, it's like that she knows how to do, like no problem. And it's the same with like a couple of folks. Like I got a client who was testing the other day for a huge director, and calm as a Hindu cow, because he was like a borderline professional baseball player.
Yeah.
Just like knows how to gut up and do it when the pressure's on.
Yeah.
And it's so valuable.
I know. I don't think I realized as like a young dancer, the like nerves leading up to a competition and then being able to go on stage and
just execute.
And I don't think I realized how well that would serve me. It's true. It like comes up all the time.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. That's so cool. And so segueing now, like, oh man, I feel like I could talk to you about that part of the training for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because like everything you're saying, I'm like, same, but different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and also just New York, like, I mean, and you're from Alberta, like I'm from a small town in Ontario. Well, now it's not really a small town. When I grew up, it was.
Yeah.
And to go from there to New York, like just that even alone, the culture shock of New York City.
The buildings look like a silk screen. It looks like it's painted on. I was like, I couldn't. That's what I told my parents when I moved there. I called them on a payphone and was like, guys, it's like the buildings are mountains.
No, it's crazy. Just the like, the culture shock of it all. Yeah. Being a kid in a big city and then also an intense arts conservatory. Yeah.
It was just bonkers and like such a phenomenal cocktail of like just like mainlining life experience, like a decade of experience into you.
Yeah.
So cool. How did you like, just because like corollary immediately into Tiny Pretty Things, like was that just like triggering to the max because you're just going into ballet school?
I think optically from the outside it was like, oh my God, next step, Juilliard, and then Tiny Pretty Things. But it was like there was 5 or 6 years in between that I was living in my parents' basement, putting myself back together. I did a couple of contracts, like went to Europe, moved to Vancouver for a minute, was like trying to find my place in the world. Yeah. And so Tiny Pretty Things, when it came along, actually I had quit dancing. I'd done a contract in Austria dancing for the Salzburg Opera Festival, which was like phenomenal and so beautiful. But unfortunately,
is ballet your main focus, or
it's kind of become that now? Yeah, I grew up like competitive dancing, doing everything, and then Juilliard is like ballet and contemporary. Yeah, and then now I would say like contemporary ballet or like contemporary ballet or my sorry, when I said it, I was saying it as different things, and then I realized it sounded like I said the same thing twice. Contemporary, ballet, contemporary ballet would be the like 3 genres that are my strong suit because of Juilliard, I think. And then I kind of quit dancing because that contract in Salzburg was pretty negative with like choreographer and that environment, and it just put a sour taste in my mouth about the dance industry and was like, I'm done dancing. Quit dancing. And then living in Vancouver, they have a great drop-in dance studio there, Harbor Dance Center, and I just started taking drop-in classes like you would, like a workout class, like twice a week. Honestly, just to make friends, because I didn't really know many people in Vancouver. And then, thank God I did. And I was taking like jazz funk mostly and like the odd ballet class here or there, but then the audition for Tiny Pretty Things came along, and I like pounded the pavement taking ballet classes every day for like a week leading up to that self-tape, taped all the exercises, being like, I'm not like as in shape as I would have liked to be. It was like 10 pages of acting and like a full ballet bar and center, and you had to improvise in multiple styles. Like I think it was like a 15-minute self-tape that I sent off. And a dance demo and my whatever acting demo, which wasn't much at the time. And then like your clients that you're talking about, I was like probably underqualified for where that was. Like I think usually in the acting industry, it's like you do small like day player roles, then like recurring, and then you might get like the guest star here or there, and then you're ready for like series lead. Well, I had like been thrown into the fire with the next step, but it wasn't a traditional acting experience. Right. And then I'd done like the odd like guest star, maybe little mini recurring or like a web series, like nothing to the caliber of like lead on a Netflix series. Right. But then sent off these self-tapes. A week later did an in-person callback where like the showrunner and 2 producers and the director of the pilot flew up from LA. And that was crazy. I submitted for 2 different characters, and Canadian casting, because I was in Canada, told me I was called back for that character. Meanwhile, they'd only, the creators of the show had only seen my tape that we submitted to New York. And so they wanted to see me for the other character. I prepared the 10-page asides for the one guy, started into it. They're like, what are you doing? And I was like, reading for this character. And they're like, we wanted to see for this one. And I was like, I wanted to read for that one more. So then they gave me 5 minutes in the lobby to like refamiliarize myself with the sides, and then I came back in. And luckily had done the tape close enough too that it was still kind of in there, and I just like dropped the sides, launched in, And I was in there for like 45 minutes talking with them, did the scenes a bunch of times. It was like tested really well under pressure, and then booked it a week later and was like, it felt like a huge jump on the ladder of my career. But I think all that work of the 5 years post-Juilliard of putting myself together and gathering from little experiences here and there all kind of then came together.
Right. Yeah.
For Tiny Pretty Things. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. What a phenomenal...
Sorry, that was a lot. Also, that felt like a lot of a...
It's excellent. Like, what a phenomenal lesson in chaos.
Yeah.
Like, a big theme, like when I work with actors, is like chaos and control, right? And you were talking about like your desire to control, right? To the degree that you have become a producer, and same, right? Like that's like like as a writer, there's nothing I love more than being able to be like, every detail of this world is mine. Like literally nothing exists. It's 90 blank pages, and I can turn that into a movie. And then it becomes an exercise in losing control, because there's nothing less useful than a writer on a film set. Right. Because it's just like, that is the evolution.
Right, you have to like give it away to the actors, give it away to the director.
Yeah, and give it away to budget constraints, give it away to like, you know, like the issues with light on that day, or weather, or it's just like, what you dreamed matters not, right? And any more than like a highway matters to a journey to New York from Toronto. It's like the road does matter, and the way it's driven has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But that concept of, I find this with actors who are dancers, the addiction to control speed runs you through so many lessons. And then usually life hits you with a baseball bat of chaos. And if you can like accept that and roll with it, then like the sky's the limit. And it seems like that's what happened to you there. And lo and behold, what happened was this like huge leap.
Yeah, truly.
You're talking about the universe pinging. It's
yeah,
like, what a lesson.
And same with like Juilliard Next Step. It was these like pings that you just have to listen when they come.
Yeah. That's awesome. And like, listen, I know it's been a while since that show or that audition happened, but like, props on being able to handle that.
Thank you.
Like that would shut down a lot of actors. Like that's not a small thing to be able to endure.
Yeah, I did a really good guided meditation in the car beforehand, and it's still the same one that I do. It's only like 2.5 minutes on YouTube. And I do it before every callback or public speaking engagement or things that I'm like really nervous and built up for and have visualized. You know, I've done all like the visualizing already. Yeah. And it's funny, I think back, my mom had received from like a teaching colleague of hers this box of like tapes, like cassettes of guided meditations, and my mom gave them to me, and I listened to them on her like old Walkman leading up to the Juilliard audition. Oh shit! So I don't know, maybe I need to like get back to some guided meditations. Maybe that's my like secret sauce. But I remember that about the Tiny Pretty Things audition, that I took like 10 minutes in my car to like pep talk myself, looking in the mirror, did the guided meditation, and then went in, and I think I was just ready for wherever it was going to go.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I want to gently, and the answer to this can be no, but it's just because you brought it up several times. That concept of putting yourself back together after Juilliard. Completely understand if this is something that you don't want to talk about, but I would be curious to know a little bit about what you mean by that, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, my mental health was in shambles after university. Okay. I had my first like adult relationship at school, and then ended that relationship. Also, I think I've always sort of had an undercurrent of, but I got diagnosed with OCD after, or sort of like during my last year at Juilliard. And I think it was sort of just the first time in my life that I'd ever felt debilitating anxiety. And I think anyone that has anxiety or has a mental illness knows that like the first cut is the deepest. Like the first time you're like, I'm never gonna survive this. My mind feels like it's not my own. I'm someone who's been so like high achieving and like can control myself, and all of a sudden I can't control myself. And so it just feels like I lost every sense of like who I was by the end of that program. And I think it was sort of like, I was saying, my mind in a prison. It was sort of like all the intense things happening at Juilliard, I then internalized and like attacked myself as a way to have something to control or to like cope in that time. And then after school I moved back home because we filmed another season of The Next Step. And I did not want to join a dance company, and I wanted to follow film and TV. I was really excited about how those days felt and the spontaneity of like auditioning and different contracts rather than like joining a company that I would be with for 10 years. So it was like I was moving home because of that, but then it was also, I think, like at the end of a semester when you've been like go on adrenaline, and you get home and then all of a sudden you get like the flu because your body like relaxes. You're finally like in a safe place and everything kind of comes up and catches up with you, and you then have to deal with it. I think that's a lot what it was.
Okay.
I moved home to my parents. I felt safe. I was in a clean environment.
Yeah.
And everything kind of like came up, and Oof. Thank God for my parents. They really, they've been such a support system forever to me, and I'm so grateful. And then leaned on therapy and did some like group therapy and found like different tools and ways to work through. I was like on this really fast track for 4 years at Juilliard and Next Step, and like don't think I had a weekend off the entire time. The Next Step would fly me home on weekends from New York to like shoot promos or EPK interviews, anything like that, reshoots, talking heads. And so then I'd fly back to New York and be dancing all week and come home, have like maybe a week off, but then would squeeze in like a TV movie before starting The Next Step and then go back to Juilliard. And it was just that for 4 years. So the second I stepped off the track, I think like all the momentum hit me and I had to deal with everything.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's exhausting to think about. And you were so young. Man. Oh, that just like feels like a lot.
It was a lot. And that was a lot of a word vomit to you also.
No.
Thank you for listening and receiving that. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Man, I can feel that in my body. That's wild. And like at the end of the day, the resilience, like the willingness to put yourself back together, like to actually engage in that process. Like I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to ask that question, because I find internal victimhood as an arrival point seems to be one of the great narratives of the developed world right now. And so a willingness, because at that stage you would have been pretty young, right? Like 21. The willingness to like take the time to sit and to be and to put yourself back together, which I assume probably involved some significant examination of self. That's commendable. Right?
I mean, and through creativity too, and like making things, like that's when I started my YouTube channel, and like that was really important, I think, for me to create. And I made like weird on YouTube for a little while, and like I think that was really important. I think it was important to just like find my way through all the turmoil by still like creating and finding the light and having fun. And also dealing with the negative stuff. But yeah, I always feel like the way through. One of my friends suffered a really big grief in her family. She lost her father and her brother within the same span of a week. And then that's why we made Loath Thy Neighbor. Like it was sort of, I mean, there was a lot of time for her to take space for herself in between there. But it was like, I just always believed the way to survive is to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, and especially that concept, like YouTube creativity without the burden of product. Like, it's not to say that there isn't a product, because there is, but it's like, at least I find even with like features as well, like series is a little bit different because it's an ongoing thing that like continues to be assessed and developed and tweaked until it's like, years down the line, it's over. Whereas like a movie is done and it's like, you put it out into the wild, and it's like, and it's going to become its own thing. And there is like a real hands-off, at least I have found, like nature to the release of a feature that you have created, or even something like a YouTube video, anything that's creative like that. I think creativity without connection or attachment to product is very freeing.
Yeah.
And hugely like liberating, like self-liberating.
They used to always say at Juilliard, just like make a bad dance in our like composition choreography class, because and I'm a control freak, so I would get so wrapped up on the details and making it perfect and what is the exact right move to go to this exact thing I'm hearing in the music, and then I always go back to that, just like make a bad dance.
Yeah.
Just like write something, right? Like make anything. And like now my whole Instagram algorithm is that like failing forward is better than like stagnant perfectionism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that in that kind of training where they're just like, just do it, just be bad. And then they're like, and also we would like to mercilessly crush you.
Yeah, exactly. And also we're going to go around and everyone's going to tell you what they thought exactly
yes,
about
exactly.
that.
They're like, but feel free to be bad.
Yeah.
Also, you're terrible and you'll never succeed. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, just what do you want?
The mind games. Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think it's intentional. I just think that like it was done to them, and and I can have done that to people too. It's not like the best.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's wild. This is fascinating because that concept of chaos and control keeps coming up. You were talking about like, I had this contract, you didn't want to go to a dance company, like because that would be like structure and you would know what it's going to be for the next 10 years.
And you talk like,
so much about how you want control, and then you're like, but what I really wanted was the actor's lifestyle. It's like, what? It's the complete opposite of control.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
So you always contained that like,
the swings.
It's not even a multitude. It's a complete like polar opposite. It's like one half going one way, the other
I
going the
think
other.
I did just enjoy on set, like when you're working on a set, that to me is the perfect level of the balance of like control and spontaneity. Of like, I know I'm gonna do this series of things, but I don't know if I'm gonna start at 4 a.m. or at 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. Like I like that amount of play, but I always know I'm gonna go, I'm gonna have my coffee, I'm gonna do hair and makeup, I'm gonna run my lines, I'm gonna go, we're gonna block, we're gonna shoot, then we move on to the next scene. Like I like that amount of structure, but the play within it. Versus joining a dance company felt like still being at Juilliard to me, where it was like every morning I'm gonna have ballet class, then I'm gonna go into 6 hours of rehearsal, then I'm gonna have a quick bite of a salad, then I'm gonna rehearse for another 6 hours, then I'm gonna go to bed. Maybe do physio in there, and then that's all my days are gonna look like. And I was terrified of continuing that. Versus I was filming the next step and I got to play on set, and that just felt like the polar opposite to the like sterile and control that Juilliard, like if I'm only going to kind of label it that way, the next step felt like colorful and exciting. And also the show itself just like celebrated everyone's individuality versus like Juilliard really felt like there was a thing that I had to fit into to like make it as a ballet dancer.
Yes. You also chose like the most was created by Russians to destroy people dance on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, like.
I know, like could have picked jazz funk, but.
For sure. Yeah. Alvin Ailey was right around the corner, buddy.
I know.
Like could have just gone there. So it's funny too. I want to kind of go back to, I feel like I'm bouncing around like a kid with ADHD.
That's okay,
right
me
now,
too, honestly.
Let's go. The next step, I freaking love talking to actors who are on the next step because y'all are addicted to convincing yourselves that the experience you went through wasn't real. You're like, yeah, I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of experience. Like, I looked at your IMDb, brother. You had like 61 episodes of a TV show before you booked Tiny Pretty Things. You have more television experience on that show than most people will ever sniff in their entire lives. But every single person that I've talked to on who works with, who was on the next step, is somehow convinced that the experience, because it was unconventional and was perhaps more chaotic, and more was demanded of you from an improvisational standpoint, plus the chaos of the dance side of it, somehow has made y'all less prepared for a more structured and theoretically easily, predictable television making experience. It's so fascinating to me.
No,
like,
it's
who
funny.
convinced you guys of this?
I know, and I'm now sitting here being like, yeah, who did? Because the show is huge, and now like
it's so huge.
Now,
it's
if we were to
huge.
make a show like that, people would be like, "Oh my God, these actors!" There was improv. Like I always get asked, "Did any improv? Did any ad lib make it into the thing?" And it's like celebrated. Oh, an actor like ad lib. That moment was improv. You like always see that trending on TikTok.
Yeah.
But yet, when we came out of the next step, it was almost. I think it must have been from like agents and casting, kind of were like, they're not actors.
Right.
And so we really, I think all of us that wanted to pursue acting really had to, like, I don't know, prove to everyone, and maybe also most to ourselves, like maybe I let that seed of doubt take root a little too much in my own mind.
Everyone who's been on that show.
like, I don't know, all of us.
Bree.
Because it's like, like then I wouldn't have, Tiny Pretty Things the whole creative team, all the producers, all the ADs called me the cast leader. And they all came to me and would like consult me on building the call sheets for when we were shooting big dance days.
Yeah.
And I think it was because of the next step, because I like could operate in an environment like this where we would show up in hair and makeup and they'd be like, actually, we're pulling up your solo. You're doing it later today. I mean, the difference on Tiny Pretty Things was that like everything was rehearsed and choreographed.
Yes.
The next step was like that morning we're like, oh, we're shooting our solos today. Okay, let me choreograph it quickly between getting my hair and my makeup done.
Yeah.
And then we're shooting it in an hour. Like, it was just, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what my point was there, but
no, it's like it's so fascinating to me because you guys are all like, it's like you grew up in a jungle with dinosaurs, surviving on your own by covering yourselves in like brontosaurus urine. But then like you get to Jurassic Park and they're all in cages, and you're just like, somehow we're not equipped for this. It's like, yes, you are. Holy shit.
No, it's true.
This is the easier one.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was. I do remember for a while, all of us Next Step kids got like blacklisted from certain casting offices because I think a few people went in and weren't prepared in the way that you should be prepared for an audition. Had they seen me, I would have showed up with my sides like highlighted and written on. And no, I'm just kidding. But you know, there's a couple of us that have the work ethic that carried over into acting, and then I think there's a couple of people that like felt the success of the Next Step and kind of went out thinking they were invincible. Yeah. And maybe that spoiled it for the rest of us. And then we were like, oh, we're blacklisted because we were on this dance show.
Right.
And we're not actors, we're only dancers, but we want to be also actors. And it felt like there was a real black and white at the time versus like now in the industry, I don't know, like I'm seeing on Wednesday, those girls that play Enid and Agnes DeMille like were ballet dancers. They do like one dance number on Wednesday. And that's like the thing everyone wants to talk about is like, and you're a dancer, tell us about that. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just me now being older looking back, and maybe it wasn't that way, but it felt almost like it was shameful that I was also a dancer if I wanted to be considered an actor. Yeah. Versus now there's so many actors that are like, and I'm a ballet dancer, and it's like a positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so fascinating to like, because here's the thing, like I also worked with a ton of the Degrassi kids, right? And I think there's definitely a narrative there too, where it's like, I do think that there was an element of a lot of folks going out and expecting it to be easier because you've been doing a thing. But even like Taylor Kitsch tells this story about, because his first major on-set experience was Friday Night Lights, the TV show, which was a Peter Berg series, and Peter Berg is very notoriously like no marks, camera follows you, chaos. So he did all that and did seasons and seasons and seasons of it, and then Hollywood decided that he was supposed to be a movie star, and he was playing Gambit on like one of the X-Men movies, and he's like, what do you mean I have to hit a mark? Like, he just couldn't. Right? It's like he's never been asked to do that. So it's like you guys were in such a specialized thing that it makes sense that there would be growing pains. But I also think that there's such a reason that so many of you have come from that show and have become quite successful and grown into like these really versatile actors. It's funny like thinking about that experience and of like being blacklisted and creating that story. Because to a degree, I think there is like casting. I'm a firm believer that in general within this industry, whenever anyone is put into a box, it's kind of like through no fault of anybody's. It's like it just, like any more than I don't think of Kentucky Fried Chicken as a burger place, right? It's just like, it's the thing, and I've always gotten chicken there. I'm sure there's other stuff, but like, you know, that's the thing. Like I know that McDonald's has a fish sandwich. I've never gotten it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because it's like the Big Mac. That's what I grew up on. Yeah. And I don't blame anybody, whether it's casting or the performers themselves. It's just like easy to believe you are one thing. But I do hope, like, if there are actors who are watching this, not to like turn this into an acting coaching for our audience, but it's like audit yourself and ask what you're putting out there. And are you putting out your best product? Like, especially when you're coming off of a show, you know, because understanding that you are probably very good at one thing and through no fault of your own, you're probably just doing that when you're being asked to do other stuff.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it's true.
Wild. But I just like, you know, this all came from me essentially just being like, I have tremendous admiration for you guys who came out of the Next Step.
Thank
you guys do not give yourselves the props that you deserve.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right. Yeah.
Well, I know I'm right on this one. Like, I'm working with Trevor and Jordan right now, and those are two of the most versatile actors that I know. And a lot of that was taught to them on that show. I just don't think that you guys noticed it.
Yeah, I think it's true. Yeah.
So talk to me about like, from an acting standpoint. So like Tiny Pretty Things was like hugely dramatic. And sad that y'all didn't get a second season. That's
heartbrearking. Had to put myself back together after that one. So.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Super sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
And talk to me about like what's come after. Like I know you did Fear Street Prom. Is it Fear Street Prom?
Fear Street Prom Queen.
Yeah. Prom Queens. Yeah. So you've done that. You've done Loath Thy Neighbor. How has Post Pretty Things been?
I keep finding myself chasing what that show was, and I don't know if I'm ever going to find it again, very sadly.
You won't.
I'm not going to get emotional, but that show just felt like all of us. I mean, and they called us this on the show. They did 6 worldwide searches for that cast, and they called us their unicorns. And like, it did just feel like we were so exactly where we were meant to be. And particularly that role felt like the next step was very like competitive dance. And then Tiny Pretty Things got to show off like everything that was great about Juilliard and everything that that program turned me into. So I finally had like a platform to celebrate that, this like kind of dark point of my life. I got to then like turn it on its head and celebrate it and shine on a show because of it. And for me as a performer, the next step, my character, they had like talked about bringing in a love interest for me after I had like come out in my real life, and then never did. And then Tiny Pretty Things, my character was like more authentically himself than I think I had ever lived to be at that point. So it really was just so special and celebratory for me to step into that character and call on parts of myself that I had really quieted for a long time or like hidden in dark corners. And I think all of us on the show felt that way, and everyone moved to the city, even myself included. I'd never lived in Toronto until that show.
Right, you were in Vancouver at that point.
I was in Vancouver at that point, and whenever I'd been in Toronto, I was like an hour outside at my parents' house. So I knew of the city, but not as local. So it was just really exciting to like live in Toronto for the first time. Everyone then like defected to me because I was like the Canadian, but I didn't really know the city. So then it was just like I became the organizer, and I would organize like cast dinners, and then on set they were leaning on me for like, how do we coordinate all these dances, and how much rehearsal time do you think you need, and how much warm-up time, and like I just kind of stepped into the qualities of being a leader like in life that I think I had been the like young bullied version of Brennan, never got to live that out. So it just meant so much to me, that show. So then post Tiny Pretty Things, I keep trying to find another show that like gives me all of those things. And I don't think I'm ever gonna find it also, sadly. But I've been fortunate to work a lot as like recurrings or guest stars and do things like it feels like the last 2 years have been my like actor bucket list. I'm just like checking things off like crazy. Like during COVID, I took horseback riding lessons because I'd always wanted to growing up, but being an elite dancer, I didn't want to get injured. So I was never going to take horseback riding. So COVID, I was like, perfect. Took lessons for like 6 months, ended up like jumping and everything on the horse. I think because of my dance background, I like accelerated quickly at it.
Just like your relentless desire to overachieve.
Well,
you're like, I'm a horse so hard.
Yeah, well, I was like riding 4 times a week through COVID, like all summer and fall. Like I poured myself into it. And then I booked a part on Heartland because, well, not because, but when I got there, Michelle Morgan, who was also directing our episode, was like, that was so smart that you attached at the end of your self-tape a clip of you horseback riding. In 18 years of the show, no one's ever done that before. And I was like, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. Like, you asked if I could ride. I have videos of me like cantering on a horse. Why am I not going to put it? So then that was like, got to ride a horse on TV, got to be on Heartland, like iconic Canadian show. I grew up like loving that show. Then also was like, got to do this show called The Produce of Pittsburgh. I had on my like actor vision board, okay, now I've done Netflix with Tiny Pretty Things. Next I want to do Amazon. Well, then I like got on that show. So I'm like, did Amazon, wanted to do a horror movie, booked Fear Street Prom Queen. I'm like, gets beheaded, check off. Like I wanted to have like a big gory horror moment. Got to work on an indie film, check on that indie film, got to do an accent. got to work with a dialect coach. It was like, check. Like I've been really, I mean, there's time between all of these projects. Like I don't mean to paint it as if I'm like constantly booked and busy, but I'm really grateful that over the last couple of years, since Tiny Pretty Things, I've sort of like collected these cool actor bucket list items.
Right.
And like, yeah, had ample opportunity, and I'm so glad to have that, even though not every show or project has filled me up in the way that Tiny Pretty Things did.
Sure. Yeah. I think that like, it's like 80% is 100% better than nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you may not, like, I mean, you mentioned you're in your 30s?
Yeah, I'm 30.
30, sick. Like you got a lot of big shifts, and there's going to be a lot of creativity and stories that hit you as things are happening. Like that's like, you know, life is still coming.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm excited for. Well, I'm ready to not play high school also. Like, yeah. I've been like checking off all the high school boxes. Okay, now it's time to like play a man with a job. You know, like I'm ready for that now too.
Yeah, I totally get that. Playing man with a job. Sorry, I'm like going back to one. I do want to ask you about your cats because you brought that up. That wasn't where I was gonna go. I wanted to talk to you about injury. You had very subtly brought up like rehab, like you know,
physiotherapy.
Yeah, your physio, all that stuff. And I'm curious. One, as a dancer, I know so many dancers, and y'all are and I'm curious, like, have you experienced injury, and how has that impacted your creative process?
Yeah, like a lot.
Yeah.
Not my ankle, as everyone from the next step. My character gets injured on the show.
I feel like
your
Wikipedia
the running
is
joke.
like his ankle's.
Yeah, it's like everything. Yeah. I think for a while I made that my like TikTok bio, being like, yes, it's me with the ankle, because it was just like I couldn't escape it online for a while.
And nationals are right around.
And they are right around the corner.
For sure.
Yeah. But in real life, no, I've like ripped all the muscles in my wrist. I've separated my shoulder a bunch of times. My elbows are really hypermobile and they pop out all the time. Like partnering or tumbling, I would have, like, my parents had to learn at the ER how to pop, like the doctors taught my parents because we were going so much.
Oh,
my elbows like pop back in. Yeah. How does that help me as an artist?
So let me reframe that question.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. I'm sure I have an answer. It's like the discomfort and the pain. You just know that the way is through, and so even like I think mentally or emotional pain is very similar. And I think because of the rigors we put our bodies through, the rigors then on our minds are sort of like, okay, well, we can survive it. Like if I can dance on this busted ankle, then I can like show up to an audition and do a great job, even though my like pet just died this morning. Like I think we're able to, you mentioned sort of like compartmentalize or like step into other places in our minds to make it through.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I think of compartmentalization more as like, so here's the thing, like my life's history, compartmentalization was like something that anything that was bad happened, anything that was good happened, I just put it in a box. And then it turns out that turns you into somebody who like maybe isn't the best person. And then all of a sudden one day all those boxes started leaking, and I was like, that's what led me to therapy. Like in hindsight, like back then I just felt like a t-shirt in a washing machine, and I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
But like hindsight being what it is, like I have learned the blessing and the curse that is compartmentalization. But the concept of the gift of injury is fascinating to me, especially for people who are high achieving, because when you have something that you are so able to rely on yourself, and then it's taken away, like, what does that do to you? Is it something that you've considered? It may not be something that you've ever thought of. It can be as simple as like power lifters who are incredibly strong and then they blow a hamstring, and it's like, well, now you're not until you are again.
Yeah, I don't think I took injury very seriously. It was sort of something that would like happen, and it was like, well, too bad. Grit through the pain growing up. But honestly, Juilliard was really instrumental in changing my relationship with injury and like preventing injury, taking care of yourself. They would bring in people to teach workshops about like how to use a foam roller. Like I'd never used a foam roller until I went to Juilliard. I didn't even know that that was like important to do to rehab your muscles, you know,
wow.
and like, and they had physiotherapists on staff all the time. You would go over in like 15-minute chunks on your lunch or leave rehearsal quickly to have a treatment. Okay. They really prioritized that.
Great.
And in a different way, like my relationship with injury was so different at Juilliard versus like as a competitive dancer, where they sort of like didn't care if you were injured. It was like, you hide that, you don't let it affect your performance. I like ripped all the muscles in my wrist the night before flying to Germany for a huge worldwide competition. And my teacher at the time, I was 14, my teacher at the time would not let me tape my wrist because it didn't match the costume. So I was then dancing on stage with like, you could see the jagged muscle. Like I couldn't even put on my costumes. My mom had to like help me put them on. But then I would load up on Advil, go on stage and be like lifting girls, doing back handsprings. Yeah. So like, yeah. Juilliard changed my relationship with injury and with listening to my body in a way that I think obviously is like very important. And I can't believe I didn't know it sooner. Yeah.
Wild. Holy. Oh, dude, that the idea of that injury is so grisly, but it's also like a lack of compassion for like the future version of that person. Mm-hmm. Having to deal with that is just like, oh, it's wild.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of just like the norm when we were kids. Everyone's like, oh, you're gonna like need hip replacement at 30. It was just like, oh, whatever, Sally, like do the oversplits, it's fine. You know, like that was just the environment was like, yeah, you're gonna need knee surgery. That's okay, too bad. Do your splits. And you'd be like cracking your hips and, you know, and it's just crazy now as an adult to be like, I would never do that as a teacher. Like now I think the people I grew up with, the way that we're going into the world and teaching at like dance workshops or studios is just like night and day to what we grew up with.
Right.
Because I know all of these dancers and their parents are trusting me with their bodies that they walk out of here in one piece.
Yeah.
Emotionally and especially physically. Like I'm not trying to injure anybody for a master class. You know, like versus growing up, it was sort of like, you should not be able to walk out of this class. That's how much you left on the dance floor. And I'm like, yes and no. Like, yeah, bring your everything to it, but you need to be okay afterwards.
Yeah. When I moved to New York, that was like the first time that I met like very elite dancers. And I remember just being like, you guys are like, so if you're a professional baseball pitcher, right? You're reasonably understanding that you're not going to be able to raise your right arm like higher than this for the rest of your life for $40 million a year.
Right.
It's like that's like maybe an expensive lottery ticket, but like it happens every year and you're just, no, I'll pay that. I'd pay that for sure. But like
with dance,
ballet dancers
it's like, oh, you're going to be poor too?
You barely are above the poverty line. It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's just like so much suffering for, oh God, it's wild. And it is good that it's starting to change.
Yeah.
And things like nutrition and all of that stuff are being taken much more seriously. And, you know, but
You're right. But let's get ballet dancers like NFL players salaries.
Yeah, man.
Like they need to be paid. Yeah.
It's nuts. And it's not like there isn't money. It's like, it's only enjoyed by rich people. It's like some of that's got to get into the pockets of the dancers and it's nuts that it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like, how many nice buildings do you need in New York and why can't we pay some of these dancers some money? It's true. Wild. Anyway, that's not where I expected this podcast to go, but that's Doug Nyback's thoughts on dancers.
Dance. Yeah.
So I'm curious, like you talked about your vision board. We're going to have to bring this thing into land pretty soon, but I'm enjoying this. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions.
Okay.
What's on the vision board next? You were checking boxes throughout COVID. You were like ruin thyself.
Yeah. Now my like manifestation, I don't know. Is it, you know what? I don't really believe this. I make wishes at 11:11 all the time and it's like, oh, you can't tell anybody. I'm the belief of like, no, you tell everyone. It's like the power of speak it into existence. Nice. So my current 11:11 wish or like manifestation is I want to be like a lead of a series that is championed by the network. Because that was one thing Tiny Pretty Things was everything else. But then working on Fear Street Prom Queen, Netflix was like behind Fear Street Prom Queen in a way that they never were with Tiny Pretty Things.
Right.
And I think the way that they aren't really with like new franchises that have improved themselves. Fear Street, they like already had IP, 3 successful movies. Yeah. So the network was behind it in a way that I was like, oh wow, this is what it feels like to have the network like champion and support the show. So that's my next manifestation for like acting. But the vision board, top of the vision board now is like to I need to like write and direct or write and showrun my own project next.
Okay.
So I'm in the like early stages. The board is filling up and I'm like funneling it into what do I want this idea to live as.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. That's such
I've been doing the artist way.
That's so
So
helpful.
it's very from the artist way,
Yeah.
that like 12-week workbook.
Yeah.
I saw that Dochi, she does it like once a year,
Okay.
the artist way,
Yeah.
and like swears by it. And I had like heard friends talk about doing it. And so then I did it. And now I've actually, this year was my second time
Nice.
working through it. And just like the morning pages are so important at just like celebrating that time with yourself to peel away all the like other stuff to figure out what is the thread that I should follow.
Yeah, I should do the artist way again. It would require me to let go of my relentless desire to be productive from 5:30 in the morning on. You were talking. I want to flag this thing because I've been thinking about this. Wow, this podcast is going all over the place. But the idea of the universe, right? You were talking about like, all right, you're not supposed to say your 11/11 wish. Here's the thing. I think that the base state of the universe is expansive. It is literally an ever-expanding thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like all of the rules of the universe, like stars are just getting bigger, everything gets bigger until it becomes, you know, and it's just like I don't believe in reductive rules when it comes to people thinking about the universe. I say, F it, tell like,
Agree.
you know, yeah, it's just like, and if we're like a neuron in the nerve cluster of the heel of what the universe is becoming, I think that it probably has bigger things to worry about.
Yeah,
Being
just
like
say
we got to
it.
crush this dream.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
exactly.
put it out there, man. That's great.
No, yeah.
That's super cool. Whatever you end up creating, because I'm like, I got to be mindful. I don't turn this podcast into just like creative jamming on whatever your next project's going to be. But I'm very excited to see whatever threads you pull in that regard.
Thank you.
To
I'm
create.
excited to see too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I would love to know. This is like going to be the controversial question of the podcast.
Okay.
What are your cats' names, and how much do you love them?
Oh, the limit does not exist. And their names are Lancelot and Tootsie Roll. But we call Tootsie Roll Toots.
Toots.
Yeah, and he's a little toot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was feral. He was a feral cat that showed up at my boyfriend's farm that I then spent all of last winter, spring, and early summer outside morning and night socializing and feeding him off of a painter stick until he came close enough that I could pet him. I was in like full snowsuit. I've never worked harder for a cat than I did with Toots. And he, we assume, was like the runt of his litter. He's very small, but is over a year old, is fully grown. But so he's a farm kitty, and we've been coming back and forth from our apartment to the farm all summer, and he poops every time we're in the car.
Oh, okay.
Multiple times, not just one poop.
Okay.
So yes, he is a little stinker. So the name Toots we named him Toots because another tuxedo kitten had showed up at the farm a few years ago, and her name was Boots. And so now this was Boots too, Toots. And then Tootsie Roll legally, just so that we didn't tell the vet his name was Toots. But yeah, no, now he's a little stink.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a little stinker, but he's really sweet. He's so cute.
And then Lancelot is just very predictably bumping up on King Arthur's woman all the time, or what's happening with that?
No, Lancelot's just my little prince. He's
Oh,
perfect.
that's nice.
And that was actually the name that came with him. I adopted him from the Humane Society.
Okay.
And I was like trying to think of names to name him, and then I met him, and I'm like, he is a Lancelot. He's just like such a little sweetie, little
That's
prince.
nice.
And he's like the perfect cat. Like, can flip him on his belly, cut all his nails. He's like never once hissed, never growled, never. He's just like a stuffed animal. But he's very timid, very shy. Like he's a rescue kitty. But yeah, he's my little baby.
Oh my God.
And then Toots is like knocking over my plants in the night and shattering posters. He's like a little.
Yeah, love that.
But
Love
you need
that.
the balance.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And I tend to, at the end of these, like kind of end on a similar question, and I'm super curious for you especially, if you could go back and give one piece of advice to just starting out you, what would it be? And if it's more than one thing, that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to, like, at what point are we like starting dancing at like age 7, or like no, like pre-Juilliard, next step?
You know what? Like dealer's choice. Whichever question feels whichever time period feels the most true to answer. Not to like answer your question with a question.
No, that's okay. I'm trying to give a really thoughtful answer. There's a lot of things like coming to mind. And I feel like maybe my answer is true for little 7-year-old Brennan, 17-year-old Brennan, and even like present day of just like, there's a lot of noise, and I do find it's a thing that always happens to me where someone that I really respect will kind of like, give me the seed of doubt, and I don't need to water that seed. And to just like believe in myself and be myself. That would be my advice to myself at like all ages. And I should hear it again now too, is just believe in myself and be myself. And you don't need to water the seeds of doubt.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. That's so healthy. And also it seems, and listen, I'm aware that I've known you for a grand total of about an hour and 20 minutes. It seems as though that concept of like believing in yourself with you comes with the caveat of and consistently be working on yourself and growing and taking stock.
And embracing your like fullest self in every iteration. And and like what you said about the universe, like constantly expanding. Like we as ourselves are constantly expanding, and so it's just being able to keep accepting or working on all the new parts of ourselves that show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mate, this has been a really fun chat.
This has been really fun. Thank you.
Like, I feel very, very blessed to have gotten to meet you in such a specific and focused way. What a delight. And like, thank you for sharing your time and your honesty and your vulnerability and just what a delight.
No, thank you. It was like such a heart-to-heart conversation, which I was anticipating, but I'm really pleased. Thank you.
Yeah, me
too. Really
fun. Look at us. Look how far we've come.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Well, I think we got it, guys. Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here at the end of all things. Brennan, I was so right about how great he was, hey? Like what a delightful human. And what delightful humans you all are here at the end of it all. Once again, if you're here on YouTube, like, subscribe, click that notification button if you're like, you're really into it. And most importantly, if you're an actor, if you just found this fascinating and you got friends who you think would find it fascinating, or friends who you think this would help, or this channel would help, there's so much informational content, acting lessons, all sorts of things on this YouTube channel. Do check it out and share it with your friends. We're trying to be a lighthouse out there that actors can point their ships at. It's profoundly challenging to be an actor. It's really expensive to be an actor, and this YouTube channel is just as free. You don't have to do nothing about it. You can just learn stuff, and it's excellent. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Nyback Act if that's more your jam. And if you're here on, once again, Spotify or Apple, just give us that little 5-star rating and follow us. Big help. And if you really want to support the podcast, you can check out our Patreon. Patreon's cool because there's like bloopers, full coachings that I do with elite clients in here. We put up on there all sorts of stuff, but also my entire Foundations program, which is an online acting course that I built that gives you everything you need to know to craft a bookable audition. Literally everything for film and television. It's everything that I wish I had when I graduated theater school and was just starting out in film and TV, and it's on there for a low monthly fee, or you can click on the links below, and that's available on my website as well. Because acting class in this economy, oh my gosh. Okay, thanks for being here. Y'all are heckin' great. Appreciate you. Go be people.